Hi, I'm Jonathan Milne and this is my Vodcast. You'll have to excuse the setting. I live in my car mostly. Arguably the most enduring and stark security issue facing multiple world regions, including our own, is the threat posed by North Korea. I believe North Korea and the threat it poses to its immediate region, and indeed the world, cannot be overstated. Although thankfully North Korea has for the most part proven largely to be an antagonist, to this point its antagonism is being played out at a very dangerous theatre, and its provocative actions put the prospect of all-out war on a knife's edge. If a security issue can be defined by factors such as the actions of a state, an individual, or a society, for example, North Korea's founder Kim Il-sung and his successor Kim Jong-il, North Korea as a state and its isolated brainwashed society create somewhat of a perfect storm for the potential of a major international conflict. I believe more than constructivism and liberalism, realism is the best theory that can be used to describe the driving force behind the threat that is North Korea's thirst for power and status in its region in particular. Considering the typical means by which North Korea conducts itself not only on the international stage but domestically, displaying a thirst for power through a system of fear with a strong threat of anarchy, what Paul D. Williams describes as the generally accepted traits among scholars in realist theory in his book Security Studies and Introduction. I have always thought of realist theory as being the fighter in its role among the other theories. I see liberalism as being the diplomat and constructivism as being the dreamer. And it's the description as a fighter I feel best describes North Korea's antagonistic, somewhat ignorant choice of approach to world relations. The international system and the balance of power is both the instigator and the saviour, in my opinion, when describing North Korea's role within it. North Korea is arguably the most active opposition to the United States' assumed position of dominance in the unipolar international system we've seen in recent history. Both Kim Il-sung and Kim Jong-il have openly and unapologetically tested the United States on multiple occasions as they attempt to flex their muscle in the region. These actions have on all occasions brought worldwide condemnation as a balance of power of sorts, and the UN itself unite to isolate and deter any desire of North Korea to escalate their already dangerous and reckless agenda. It is hard to imagine a state more actively defiant in the current international system than North Korea. North Korea will continue to be a danger if and when the international system drifts towards a multipolar system, which it increasingly is. And I'm fearful as China grows as a power, it will one day take a very unipolar and drastic action toward North Korea, taking international relations to dangerous new territories. North Korea as a state and its leadership throughout recent history have been one and the same. Whilst repression has been a major tool used internally to aid in harsh domestic control, North Korea's dictatorships have largely stood alone internationally in their acts of intimidation, as opposed to seeking out alliances with states of similar agenda. One would most likely expect North Korea to find its most useful and powerful ally in China. However, China's concerns, obviously on North Korea's open and very active nuclear weapons programs and missile programs, make this prospect almost non-existent. North Korea as a state, and a state quite unique in today's world in its isolation and aggression, make it the obvious state responsible for interstate tensions. It sits in a position within a larger, more dominant region, contested albeit more dramatically by much larger and well-equipped players. However, North Korea's tendency of hot-headedness and its antagonist regime make it a small yet very dangerous contributor to the game of international security. The successive leadership of North Korea and the psyche of the leaders themselves is a subject in itself. The system they have created within their borders is one of isolation and suppression. Although the actions of North Korea can somewhat be explained, cannot be predicted. Kim Il-sung, Kim Jong-il and Kim Jong-un have each seemed to maintain a seemingly predictable agenda, an agenda that seems to be predominantly one of provocation in a twisted attempt to bolster national pride through intimidation. The ability of North Korea's current and historical leadership to get major states offside, including their neighbours Japan and China, and obviously the USA, make them the major contributors to destabilisation of security in the region. North Korea is an issue among other issues, and an end to hostilities seems unlikely in this climate, as North Korea continues its quest for global relevance. A quest that could at any time tip the balance of international security and relations into a very dire direction. Thank you very much.